Hopefully you guys understand that. If you don't hesitate again to ask. I'll explain once more. Ternary operator is very simple. Not going to spend too much time on that. I'm going to comment this out for you. I'm going to write interview questions. Okay. This is literally very simple. So let's do int age equals 20. Now we're going to say string message, for example, equals, and now we're going to say age greater than 20, ternary operator at the end of the line. And now we're going to put something here. Message is going to be you are over 20, and here is going to be you are under 20. And this is literally, you can see this is an if else combined into a single line. What's the syntax? Condition, question mark, first part of this column, second part, right? And if I s out message, this can be literally avoided by using an if and saying if age greater than 20, s out you are over 20, and so on, and otherwise this. So this basically combines the if statement into a single line. I could have also, for example, said Boolean is over 20 equals, but this is obsolete. You'll see age greater than 20, true, otherwise false. False. Of course, this could have been simplified by just giving it this value. You don't need to use it if it's booleans, right? But if it's integers, for example, let's say int, I don't know, coefficient or whatever, index, whatever, you are deciding on some number based on somebody's age. You can say age greater than 20. You're going to give them a coefficient or index of 1, otherwise 0, So basically here you put an expression of the type that you're trying to return here. So you are trying to get a string, you put string here. You're trying to get an integer, you put 2 integers there, right? It's the same as saying, how would we do this without using this? Well, simply we would say index without, let's say, index 1. How would we define this? We would not give it a value immediately. We would say age greater than 20, index 1 equals 1, else index 1, e1 equals 0. Okay, this would be the alternative to this. You can see the uses of it immediately. Sometimes you want to not have 4 lines. Instead, you just want to have a one-liner, which is relatively readable, right? This is used sometimes, not that often as you would imagine, but ternary operators are somewhat used, so you need to get used to. I mean, we're not going to use them all too much. We're going to use more ifs because you usually want to do more than just a single thing in an if, What's the second alternative to this? Let's define index 2. Index 2 equals 1. And now I can say if age less or equal to 20, index 2 equals 0. This is a second alternative. I can give it the value of being greater than 20 immediately, and then flip, and then just change the value only if it's less than 20. Of course, the third way would be to put it to 0, and then if it's greater than 20, to put it to 1. That's the fourth way. Which one is the best? Well, you decide. It's literally doesn't matter. I mean, sometimes it just makes sense to put it to a default value. Sometimes that does make a lot of sense, right? You put something to a default value, and if a condition is met, you put it to a special value. Sometimes that's the case. Sometimes you want to use, I mean, this one you will not probably use because that one can easily be replaced with this. So, let's say you can do whichever of these you find suitable for that moment, right? Okay, you guys understand the ternary operator. Not much to say there. Condition, question mark, first part, column, second part, and then you close, of course, with the semicolon at the end. Of course, you can have multiple conditions, and age less than 500 or age, greater than 5,006, whatever. Of course, you can combine as many conditions, similar to an if statement. You can even say, and, not valid, whatever. Of course, you can combine any sort of condition here as long as it's a valid, Boolean condition, right? Boolean expression. Same with true and false statement. Yes, of course. So basically, this ternary operator is completely interchangeable with the if, right? And everything that we've learned so far, you can now chain things into infinity. You can have 7 conditions with and 5 with or whatever is your desire to make at that point, So you will, of course, decide on that based on the specs. What are you trying to make? What's your conditions? You ask your manager. You at work, you will get a ticket saying very specifically what you need to make. The user needs to be more than 18 years old. He needs to have a username at least 5 characters long. And you just keep adding conditions. If username dot length is less than 5, print out a message, blah, blah, blah. And you can understand already. I mean, I'm not gonna give you more examples since you guys are smart. You can see, you can just combine these ifs to infinity. You can add ifs nested here. If you want, you can chain conditions together if you want. Sometimes one thing is better, sometimes the other thing is better, sometimes they're both equally good. You can use either way. You can chain a couple of conditions here and then have a separate if here, because chaining 7 conditions would be too hard. Or they all have some common parts. For example, you have 3 conditions, and if a user fulfills those 3, well, you do something anyway. You, for example, fetch all their, I don't know, news, and fetch news, and you can ask for more stuff now if some more conditions, and then fetch other stuff as well, So you can combine them any way you want. What's the best way? Well, usually it would be best to do all the common, to just not have code repetition. To put everything that's common, I don't know, fetching the news, everybody does that, regardless of some settings that they have. You fetch the news for everyone. Then you ask, okay, do you have this turned on and this turned on? Yes, fetch that for everybody who has that on. And some other conditions. If you maybe want extra news, whatever, I'm just inventing stupid things, stupid examples here. If you want some more stuff, then fetch that as well. And you can combine ifs inside of ifs. You've seen that, else ifs, everything, And that's basically the point of today's lesson. Learn, make your program have multiple, ways of executing, multiple flows of control. Let's call them that,